studio in fabulous downtown Las Vegas. And I am the shoe chick because when you paint with me, kids in Africa get shoes. So either you're painting with me live on Facebook or you're on my YouTube channel, Angelique Paints. And if you're there, please, please, please subscribe. Today we are painting. Winter is coming. No, just kidding. It's just called winter. I should have named it Winter is Coming. But anyway, winter. Isn't it beautiful? Not too holiday-ish if you wanted to do something for a Christmas party or something like that, but it's just really pretty. And that's what we're going to paint today. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what's in your kit. Either you picked up curbside or it was mailed to you. You have these 4 paints, just 4 color paints to that. Take the lids off all your paints. You have an assortment of paint brushes, not sure what you're painting with. Sometimes there's a sponge brush or a different kind of brush. A digital brush, a flat brush, okay? You should fill your cup halfway with water. You have a highly absorbent blue paper towel in your kit. You also have an apron that opens up really wide and your head goes over the top to protect your clothing from the paint. If it came in a white paper bag, you could use that white paper bag to protect the surface that you're painting on. We're painting with acrylic paints, always. Wash very easily off your skin, not so easily on your clothes. Get it on your clothes, just use a little water right away. You also have a reference photo. I have a ginormous one, you have a little tiny one, and that's for all the OCD folks that are going to be really concerned with creating it just like this. Please don't do that. It's your interpretation of the painting. Paint it any way you like. I'm going to come pretty close, but not exactly, because art is a representation of who you are in the moment, right? I could stress out and try to create it just like this, but that would be no fun for me. So this time, we're starting with a blank canvas. Sometimes you get paint kits that are traced already for you, but this one is not pre-traced. Woohoo! That makes it super fun, right? All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start with our sponge brush. We're going to put a light coat of water on our canvas. We are activating the canvas so that it's ready to accept paint, kind of like priming it, if you will. A lot of time artists will put a paint of white paint down before they start painting, or use something called gesso to prep their canvases. But in the paint party world, we just simply put a coat of water on there. Just a little light coat. It absorbs pretty quickly. We don't want it all drippy and everything. If it is drippy, take your paper towel, kind of wipe it a little bit. We don't want it too wet before we start, okay? Just a light coat of water. And these canvases are really brittle these days. Okay, so we've done that. I'm going to use the sponge brush. If you're going to be painting with me a lot, I would highly recommend that you invest in some paint brushes. I don't usually paint with sponge brushes, but it seems to be the most economical way for me to keep my prices down low for these paint kits, okay? So what I'm going to do next is we're going to create that glow in the back of our picture, okay? Kind of like it's called the underpainting. So it's kind of like a moonlight in a way, right? So I hope you have all the lids off your little things of paint. And this process takes a while. It's going to be a process of blending the blue paint and white paint and purple, okay? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go into my blue paint, and I'm looking at my reference photo, and my moon is not really in the middle of my canvas. It's kind of a little up. So I'm going to mark off where my moon is going to be, okay? Kind of protected area here. We're going to get some blue into it in the middle of it a little bit, so that's okay. And I'm just going to use my sponge brush, and I'm going to pretty much paint the entire canvas blue. And I am curving my brush. It looks kind of crazy right now, but I'm going to fill my paintbrush. I'm going to fill my canvas up, curving my brush like this. Curved brush strokes like this, all the way out to the end. I'm even going to paint the sides of my canvas all the way down. That's called wrapping your painting, so when you go to hang up your masterpiece, you will not need a frame for it. It'll look totally finished. I love that we do that, okay? So I'm curving my brush around this area, curved brush strokes, and then I'm going to do like big U's all the way down, okay? And fill up my canvas. So I'm going to play a little music if I can find a little nondescript music so I don't get tagged on this. And you just follow along with me and fill up your canvas with blue paint. Hope you have your drink ready. I have my drink in my favorite wine glass. Isn't it beautiful? I love that. Favorite thing is good music, a great idea, and some good wine, some painting. Big U's, big wide U's at the bottom. Pretty much I blew all over my canvas. I'm going to dip my brush in the water. And now I'm going to kind of even out the paint. Ladies, kind of like when you're doing your eyeshadow. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm not going to put any more blue paint on here. I'm just going to fill up those white spaces by pressing a little bit with that sponge brush. Kind of just dragging the paint. Filling up those white spaces. It's going to give you a little variance between the blue. A little bit more water on my brush. Filling up my canvas. Covering up all the white spaces. Still curving my paintbrush a little bit. Ooh, my arm's getting tired. A little bit of water goes a long way. I don't want it too wet. I'm using the flat of my paintbrush because I want to get lots of coverage going all the way down here. Don't want it to be too dark at the bottom because we got to put our snow on there. If your paintbrush starts doing funky things, start using the tip of it. Be careful. Water, I'm using water now. I haven't gone back into my paint because I don't want it to be I don't want it to be too dark. Use big wide U's at the bottom. Still haven't put any more blue on my paintbrush. I'm going to go around this area right here where I was protecting my little moon. A little tiny bit of water more. Okay. Now I'm not going to wash off my paintbrush at all. I'm going to go into my purple. If you look at your reference painting, there's a little bit of purple going on at the top and around. Just a tiny bit of purple. I'm going to drag a little bit of purple and really cover up anywhere that I see white. I don't want too much white coming through. Add it any way you like, or be OCD and look at your reference photo and put the purple exactly where I have it. I'm not even trying to do that. So I know you're probably looking at me like, ugh, it's not really looking good. It's all going to come together, trust me. Get some drippies on there. Just take your paintbrush and kind of smooth it out a little bit. Okay. Looks kind of crazy, but I'm telling you, it's all going to come together. It takes a little while, so you might have to put me on pause and kind of play around with it a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. Because it does take a little while to get this glow effect going exactly the way you want it, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white paint. Now I don't want my white paint to get all funky. That's the technical term for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pour a little bit, or you can lift it out with the back of your paintbrush, but that gets kind of messy, but I like getting messy when I paint. So I'm going to dip a little bit out with the back of my paintbrush. Put it in my tray. You can wipe the back off of your paintbrush with that blue paper towel that you have so your hands don't get all messy. So I'm going to take my paper towel, wipe off the back. Then I'm going to dip. I haven't even washed that sponge brush again. And then I'm going to go into the white. And I'm going to add a little bit of white with the tip of this brush. Now if this brush is getting kind of weird, because my brush is getting kind of weird now, you can switch brushes to that medium brush and work with it. But I'm going to keep working with the sponge brush. I'm curving my brush so I can get some
some curved glow effect brush strokes, dragging my white through there a little bit. And you'll see the effects start to come together. A little bit more white with big U's going down this way, right? Big U's. But I don't want it to look too stripy, so right on top of the line, I'm going to add a little bit of water so it doesn't look too stripy. Now, the fun, critical part right here is the moon, this glow in the middle. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to try to lean my canvas up just a little bit straighter so you can see, because it's kind of leaned back quite a bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take more white paint and really get in the middle of this, on the edges of this glow for my moon. And again, if your paintbrush, my paintbrush is starting to get a little funky, I'm going to switch to the medium paintbrush. I think I'm all done with that sponge one. I didn't even put any water on it. I'm just going right into, using a medium flat tip one, right into my moon. Look at that. I'm going to clean it up a little bit later. Well, actually, let's do it now. A little bit of white paint, and I want it to be more round. If you look at your reference photo, the glow is really a good circle in the middle, right? And it's okay if you drag a little blue in there. It's going to get lighter and lighter, right? We're going to add a little bit more fresh white paint in the middle. So look how that glow, I'm just going round and round and round till I get it to look how I want. It takes a little while. I'm going fast. You might have to put me on pause. Kind of play around with it a little bit. All right? And I'm feeling pretty good about how that's looking there. So now at the bottom, I know you've realized there's quite a bit of white, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this medium paintbrush. You can use a sponge brush and wash it off if you want, like. But I'm going to do a diagonal line, and a straight line at the bottom. And I hope you can see that pretty good. All right, and I'm going to paint that area in, okay? Quite a bit of area there. You might want to switch back to the sponge brush, or if you have a bigger brush. I am going to switch back to my paintbrush. Now, my sponge brush. When you're using a sponge brush, you can swish it around in this water, and then you're going to have to squeeze it with your hand in the cup because it is a sponge. And then squeeze it again on this with your paper towel. Go into your white paint. If you're using a sponge brush, I'm only using a sponge brush for coverage because it would take me quite a while to do it with a medium brush. So for the sake of my video, I want to use this sponge brush so that I can get through it quicker. But you might want to use your medium brush. I like having the blue underneath it because it gives it that cool, cold effect, like it's frigid. Snow, little blue in the white paint gives it like that wintry, icy feel, right? All right, so I use my sponge brush for coverage. I'm going to go back and use this medium brush. If you look at the reference photo, the snow has a little hilly effect. It has little bumps in it. So I'm going to, on the out edges of my snow, I'm going to use my medium brush to kind of add some little bumps in the snow, some little peaks and valleys, mostly curvy, not so much peaks. Little rounded mounds of snow. I'm from Michigan, so I'm familiar with the rounded mounds of snow. I'm in Las Vegas now. It's 100 degrees today. 100, it's pretty hot. It's always hot in the summer, so. So I'm filling in the snow at the bottom. So I hope you can see that pretty good because it's pretty far at the bottom. See? I have a few drippies in there. I'm looking at my glow effect. And what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna take my paintbrush, I just wiped it off a little bit, and I'm just gonna make sure I get those drippies cleaned up. Maybe just a tad bit of water, kind of smooth them out a little bit.
Alright?
Since I have white on my paintbrush, I'm gonna mess around with my glow on my moon a little bit. And now, like for the next part, we're gonna chalk in our tree. Now for our tree, we need for our chalk, to use chalk on this, we need it to be pretty darn dry. So you could take your mixing tray. A lot of times, like artists will use, oh, I got quite a bit of drippy action going there. I'm gonna take my paper towel. A lot of times we'll take a blow dryer and blow dry our painting. I'm not gonna do that. Acrylic paint's dry pretty darn quickly. So at some point you gotta call it good. You gotta look at your background, your underpainting here, and say, you know what, it's okay, I like it, I'm done with it. I see a couple of drippies on my painting, so I'm gonna cover them up a little bit over here. So once your painting is dry, which again, you can use it, fan it like this, use a blow dryer, just wait, whatever you wanna do. We're gonna draw in our tree. So the tree is about maybe 2 inches from the side here, and it goes all the way into the ground, so I'm gonna just draw a straight line all the way to the ground. Then we have another tree over here that's about maybe 1 inch off, but it goes all the way into the ground. It's a shorter tree, right? So you make your tree as long or short as you want. Now what we're gonna do, it's important that it's dry over here, because what we're gonna do is we're going to extend, we're gonna draw the tree out. So the tree branches, make sure you have some branches that go through the moon, okay? So I'm not even really paying attention to my reference photo. I'm just drawing some lines out of my tree. If you're obsessed with that reference photo and making exactly the same, then guide along, look at it very, very closely, okay? I'm not gonna do that, because that would take too long, and it's a tree. All trees are different, right? All right, so I just chalked it in like that. I love using chalk. It's very forgiving. That means like if you make a mistake, if you think you made a mistake, if you did something you don't like, just take that blue tape paper towel, don't put any water on it, just rub it off. And if it doesn't come off very easily, like if I didn't like where I put my tree, if it didn't rub off very easily, just a tiny bit of water, but you gotta wait for it to dry before you use the chalk again, okay? Now that I've chalked in my tree, make sure you have one branch that goes entirely through the moon, because that looks kind of cool, right? Then you're gonna paint it in. I'm using a medium paintbrush. I'm using the flat of my brush. I'm going all the way down into the snow. I'm gonna make it a little bit wider. I don't want it to look like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, right? Make it a little bit wider, going all the way down into the snow. I'm just painting it in now. Use the flat of your paintbrush, not the tip, to get a broader, wider line, right? That's pretty obvious, I guess. But in case you didn't know that. If you notice the trunk of the tree is a little bumpy, not too bumpy, but you don't want it to be like totally straight. So I'm gonna add just a few little bumps in my tree. And then when I get down to the bottom, use the tip of my paintbrush and create some roots that go down into the snow. Just the tip of my paintbrush, kind of willy-nilly. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course. If you want it to look like the reference photo, hold that reference photo up really tight and make sure you get it, okay? So, I'm following my chalk lines. If you notice, I did like a little wispy effect at the end of my brush stroke. I'm using the tip of my paintbrush, and I'm lightening up a little bit at the end. And I'm creating all these fun tree branches any way you want them. I want you to have fun with the tree branches. Look at the reference photo. How many lines are coming off of them? Don't have to be exact, but of course you want to put a few of those small tree branches in there, or twigs, or whatever you would call them, right? Because otherwise it would be boring. Don't be afraid to have fun with your tree, filling up the branches, maybe even have one cross through. I'm not even following my chalk lines. When your painting is dry tomorrow, the next day, you can wipe off the chalk lines, but wait until the next day to wipe them off, okay? But you should try to stay on top of your chalk lines, and you don't have to worry about that. But I just get all carried away because it's just so fun creating these branches. I want my tree trunk to connect in some way with these branches, so I'm making it a little bit thicker, getting some branches coming out of the tree trunk. So right at this point in this, between the trunk and the branches, kind of thicken it up just a little bit, okay? Now, the other fun part is the swing. So I remember when I was doing this painting, I made the swing like too far up. And I was like, how are they gonna get in that swing? So anyway, two parallel lines coming straight down from the tree. Maybe a big branch, maybe the branch up here, totally up to you. And make sure the swing is down so it doesn't look so crazy, that it's realistic. Maybe maybe 6 inches from the bottom. Just take a look at the distance between the snow and the actual seat of the bench, of the swing, okay? Now I don't want to forget about my little tree over here, so I'm going to work on him. Just like I worked on the other tree, the flat of my brush, the roots of the tree, I'm just going to paint them into the snow, extending them. And then for the tree, I'm going to do some lines going up, just straight up there. Using the trunk of the tree as my base, I just did some lines going up. Now you have black on your paintbrush, so I'm going to go ahead and paint the swing in too by doing just two straight lines. But if you look at those lines, they're not just two straight lines. They look kind of jagged. This is a silhouette of the rope. So you can add just like a few little dots here and there to make it look like it's a little jagged rope. Make them a little thicker if you want. And even the seat of the chair kind of looks like a wooden bench. It's not just one straight line. It's like a straight line, right? And then on the edges, you're going to make another line a little bit longer. On the edges, you're going to add a few uneven brush strokes so it looks kind of like a plank of wood, right? Underneath that seat, you're going to draw two little lines, kind of make it look like it's a rope that's holding this on the bench onto the rope. So extend a couple of lines underneath there. Isn't that cool? Now, I'm going to rest this paintbrush in the water. And then I'm going to use my little detail brush here. You have one smaller brush. And I'm going to add some fun little twigs or leaves. This might be like silhouettes of leaves on this little tree over here. My brush strokes are going up. Of course, you can do your tree any way you want. You can also use this paintbrush to add some variance in your leaves on the big tree. Takes quite a while. So have fun with that. Fill up your trees, put some little branches on there, and then your final step is going to be more white paint. So I'm washing my paintbrush out and rinsing it out in my water. I'm wiping it off on my paper towel. And then I'm going to have fun adding snow. So once you're done, because I take you 90% through the painting, by the way. I'm not taking you 100%, but just 90% through the painting. And then you have fun, listen to your music, drink your wine, and finish it up. And send me pictures. You can find me on Facebook at Angelique Daniels or the Shoe Chick Art Studio. Or you can go on YouTube. My phone number's on there. You can text me a picture. You can send
picture of your painting, that would be amazing. But it's one of my very, very favorite parts of painting, seeing what you create in the different paintings, okay? So I rinse my paintbrush out really good in that yucky water, but when you wipe it off on your paper towel, it'll be just fine. Put some white paint on my paintbrush, and now I'm gonna add a little snow by just adding a few little dots with the corner of the paintbrush. This is so fun. Creating a little layer of snow there. Now this is gonna be when your branches are all done. My branches are not all done, okay? But when you're all done, add a little snow. They're just little dots. Take a look at my reference photo and see where I have the snow on mine, or put the snow anywhere you want. Don't forget snow on your little tiny tree right here too. Just a little tiny snow. I love this. All right, how do you get those little dots in the back of the painting? These little snowflakes coming down. With the back of my paintbrush, I just dip the back of the paintbrush in any of the blue ones, and then you just put little dots here and there, and it looks like little snowflakes are falling down. Isn't that fun? Look at that. It's so fun. This painting is really cool, really easy to do with a big group. I hope you enjoyed it. This is 90% of the way through, not 100%. Work on your tree, add lots of variety to the branches. Just take a look at my reference photo. Not only do you put the snow on the branches, but there's a little outlining on the branches to make them, look, to give you some depth to the tree. The white paint is last, okay? So add the snow, have fun with it. Don't forget to sign your painting. Don't forget to post, tag, send me a picture. I want to see it. Winter is coming. Thank you so much, everybody. Be safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.